Our sponsors for this episode are Gambino's Pizza in Newton. Gambino's Pizza in Newton is located at 1029 Washington Road in Cedar Village. They are open 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you love pizza as much as I do, you know that you always have time and room for pizza. Not only can you dine in or carry out, but they have a huge menu of items to pick from, including wings, pizzas, salad bar, and not only that, but they have the only pizza buffet in Newton. If you're looking for a family-friendly environment or just need to stop in for a quick lunch over the noon hour, Gambino's has got you covered. Visit Gambino's Pizza in Newton at 1029 Washington Road in Cedar Village, or give them a call at 316-866-1778. That's 316-866-1778 to order out or ask questions. You can even order online. Look them up on Facebook, give them a like, follow, and a share. Gambino's Pizza in Newton. Carlos's Kitchen and Cater. Carlos's Kitchen and Cater, located at 114 South Kansas Avenue in Newton, is one of Newton's best kept secrets. Or maybe you know about them and have already stopped in or carried out some of the most delicious Mexican food in our region. If you're just hearing about them, you need to give them a try. If you're a repeat customer, you'll already know why. Give Carlos's Kitchen and Cater a call at 316-804-0158. That's 316-804-0158. Or you can stop into 114, that's 114 South Kansas Avenue. Make sure to look them up on Facebook, give them a like, follow, and share. And don't forget, folks, tell your friends. Carlos's Kitchen and Cater. The Newton Kansan is Newton's longest-running local newspaper covering all the stories, people, places, and things happening in our community. Chad Fry, the Kansan guy, editor of the Kansan, works diligently to ensure integrity, accuracy, and unbiased news is delivered to your doorstep 3 times a week for an unbeatable price. You can also sign up for online-only access for around $7 a month. That's 12 online papers a month for only $7. If you've not subscribed, it's time you do. Visit them in their office at 517 North Main Street. That's 517 North Main Street in Newton. Online at thekansan.com. That's thekansan.com. Or give them a call at 316-283-1500. That's 316-283-1500. Support local journalism, support the Kansan. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this HCTalk podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lance Gormley, and I only have one partner in crime on the program today, who is Chad Fry, the Kansan guy, editor of the Kansan paper, to come on the program today, this Christmas Eve, and spread as much hate and discontent as humanly possible to all the fellow citizens of Harvey County, Kansas.
My beard ain't white enough, and my belly ain't big enough.
Make a holiday joy. There you go. We knew Santa would make an appearance on the program today. Yeah. So, if we'll do the best we can to get as much rage bait out there as humanly possible so people can get angry and mad, and it will ruin their holiday cheer and spirit, because we know that angry is the way to go.
So can we get like a sarcasm tag across the bottom of the screen? Or
I don't know. I mean, surely people at this point in time, I will say this. We have agreed, and Chad has taught me, that you cannot use sarcasm in written form.
In written form.
I do that. I've done that. That has gotten me into trouble before in the past. And even though you might be insinuating something or trying to use sarcasm or poke the bear, it does get me in trouble. So I figure, audible form is the best way to do that. If you're listening to my voice right now, sure, you can hear through inflection that I'm being sarcastic.
So, yeah, in the written form, sarcasm never works. When you're writing, you need to write what you mean.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, just write what you mean.
And write it like you're explaining it to a sixth grader.
There's a lot of cues that people are not going to get when they're and hey, that extends over to social media too, folks.
Oh man, social media is brutal.
Yeah.
It almost, unless you're going to watch the program, obviously, or see the short clips that we put out, or have a good time with the fam, enjoying the podcast, or whatever, you're going to have some downtime. Maybe social media is not the place to be right now when you're trying to have good thoughts, good feelings, family time. Do people ever give it a rest, you think?
I don't know. My kids aren't allowed on it yet.
Well, okay.
So at some point, I'm sure they will be.
Yeah.
You know, but the one of my kids used. We have a spare phone that I've labeled house phone, and one of my kids used that to download a social media video platform, and justice was swift, not brutal, but swift, and it was dealt with quickly. Because, even at my ripe age, social media is just, God, it's awful.
It's awful. It is. It's awful. It's awful. And you can say whatever you want about anybody whenever you want to say it, even if it's true or it's not true. You can try to take anything out of context that somebody says. There's no inflection. Even emojis don't do justice. And I'll just bring this up. Interestingly, one of the things that we
emojis,
yeah,
just write what you mean.
Right.
You know, somebody sent me something that was just a dead flower emoji, and I'm like, I have no idea what this means. And I don't, honestly, at this point, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so one of the things we're going to talk about next week, folks, is I was wanting to bring some stuff on the program, some national news, and Chad and I had talked about it and decided, you know what? We're just going to take a break. We're going to lead by example. Take a break from all the things that might be happening across the globe and across the nation. But one thing I want to talk about next week is in certain countries, they're banning social media for adolescent youth. And good thing, bad thing, up to you, question. And they're even doing some of that in schools where they are making it for children to not be able to be on devices or to use devices. And we'll see. Maybe we might come back a little bit.
So you're gonna tell me that I'm gonna have the opportunity to talk about the Hillcrest Academy Ravens, and their policies around cell phones and social media use during school.
Well, it's happening everywhere. It really is. I think the science is in, and we're finding out that it is in fact disastrous for people under a certain age. I still go back to this. And we'll move past this and just know we'll talk about this next week on the program. I personally think that Facebook, in particular, should require you to upload your ID. So that way you have real name, real person, real age. And from there, it makes it much easier for people to be held legally liable for some of the stuff that they're putting out, because people just make up names. They just make up whatever name they want.
Oh, you're going back to the old internet message board days there. So
yeah, I'm K4236524. So
yeah.
Let me say whatever I want, make up whatever I want. Everybody be damned. Okay. So no negativity here, Chad. But yeah, there's a lot of national stuff I wanted to cover, so I'll lay that all out next week. So if you listen to the program next week, be ready for it to be a hot and spicy one. But we said last week on the program that what we were going to do is we're going to focus on Christmas stuff and the Christmas spirit. And I want to get into that, but I also figure, well, we kind of want to just kick it over to you, Chad, and tell us what's going on in the Kansan. What do you have in the Kansan? What's coming up? What have you written in the past? What do you want to cover that was in the Kansan, Chad?
Oh my. You're coming to me on a day where I've done more than a week's worth of work in about 2 days, just because of the holiday, and not trying to be a real jerk about it, but sometimes you have to be. And because there's people who want Friday off, not me, by the way.
Friday.
I ended up. Friday. Yep, I ended up. Yeah, it's Friday. I ended up having three publications deadline in 3 days. So as I sit here on Wednesday morning, the Saturday Saturday the 20, what is this Saturday? 7th. Saturday the 27th. It's already in the can. They're doing layouts right now. You know, the Thursday paper, the one that's is dated for tomorrow. I took care of that yesterday. So I've run a massive gauntlet. Monday and Tuesday both were 5 a.m. starts. So was today, for that matter. They were 5 a.m. starts and 7, 8, 9 o'clock ends. And that's 7, 8, 9 p.m. by the way. So I've been a hamster on a wheel. But what comes to mind, there's one story from last week that comes to mind that I need to sit down and update because I've got some new information this week. And that is the state of the senior nutrition programs in our area senior centers. There's 4 area senior centers that have under the Older Americans Act have maintained these senior nutrition programs. And what those are, there's a congregate meal served at noon every day of the week, Monday through Friday. There's some who also offer some frozen stuff that people can take home over the weekends. And then other than Newton, there's also meal delivery.
So people would know this as Meals on Wheels.
Yes,
a portion of it. Different. That's what's coming to mind.
It's different,
okay.
Because and the reason it's different is the reason that Newton does not have the meal delivery under the Older Americans Act is that Newton has its standalone Meals on Wheels program.
Very good. Okay.
Right. That's run out of. The office is in the senior center. Meals are provided by Newton Medical Center. And a volunteer force does deliveries, and they do those deliveries, I believe, 7 days a week. And the operators of that program are wonderful people. And if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, head down to the senior center and ask about Meals on Wheels, because that's an awesome program, and they've delivered hundreds of thousands of meals in their history here in Newton. That is not included in this senior nutrition program. What is if you go to Heston, Sedgwick, or the Newton Senior Center around noon on Monday through Friday, there will be a hot congregate meal served. Okay? And it is offered to, I don't know what the age requirement is. I'm just pretty sure I haven't hit it yet.
I'm assuming seniors.
But yeah, it's offered to seniors.
Whatever would be considered your senior citizen.
And it's not, it's there's a suggested donation, but there's not a required fee. And in most of the senior centers, those folks who are getting together to eat lunch together, they get together early, and they'll just socialize for about an hour, and then they'll have their dinner, and that's important. I mean,
well, and even now this time of year, especially.
Your parents not so much. My parents are older Americans, and
well, I think you'd be surprised how I'm the baby of a baby.
Well, I know, but that socialization piece it really is pretty big. It's pretty huge. So that program, I wrote that it's going through a transition, which it is. But the future is much more in doubt than just a simple transition.
Do tell.
So what has happened is that they had a contractor that provided the meals. And that contractor cooked the meals, brought them to the senior centers. The senior centers, basically, at this point, all they really need to do is serve them. And because it's a federally funded program, there's, of course, federal requirements, paperwork, monitoring meals for quality, making sure that what's being served is safe. You know, you got to check temperatures and make sure everything is, depending on what it is, right? So if it's chicken, it's got to be above 165 degrees, you know, that kind of thing. And that program did all of that administration work, and all that. They are pulling out. They notified the CPAAA, which is the Central Plains Area Agency on Aging, which is headquartered out of, I believe, Butler County, and serves Butler, Harvey, and Sedgwick County. They notified them that they were pulling out, and they're pulling out at the end of this month, so just a few days from now. The CPAAA went to work and started looking at other contractors. They have found one. It's a company called Trio, I think. I'll have to double check my notes, but they found one. And they are working feverishly to make sure that they can serve all of the senior centers that were being served under the old program. Pardon me. In those 3 counties. Now the reason is this whole thing. I mean, it's just like,
yeah, keep going.
You got all these little.
That's the way it works,
right?
Isn't it? Always the way it works.
Yeah. The reason this is through CPAAA is that this is Older Americans Act funding, which is federal funding. That federal funding is sent from the Fed to the state, and the state distributes that funding out through the area agencies. So that the state is not distributing funds directly to the Department on Aging of Harvey County. They are distributing to the CPAAA, which in turn sends funds over to the Department on Aging, and in turn they are also sending that funding directly to our area senior centers.
And then maybe
you see how this all just kind of.
But this is the way it works. So then even then, the provider most likely somehow through that whole chain of command, if you want to look at it that way, then gets compensated for the services.
The provider gets compensated in that and if I'm understanding all of this correctly, and that's a big, right? That compensation is coming from the senior centers. Okay, but they're using money that is it's been filtered through this entire system.
Yeah, which we would consider accountability, right? Accountability of resources.
Well, and that's where all the reporting stuff comes from too, right? And there's nothing inherently wrong with any of that. I just want everybody to understand that this particular thing that we're talking about here, the possible loss of this program, man, we got layers to this onion. We've just got to keep peeling back.
Yeah, well, and I'll give it and I don't want to interrupt, but the thing that's coming to mind right now is you can tell a lot about a nation, a state, a county, a city, a town, a community on how they treat the most vulnerable in their community. You can.
So what the problem is, because I've gone through all of this, and I've said they found a new provider. You would think it'd be easy at this point, right? Well, it's not easy at this point. It's very hard at this point. And the reason it's very hard at this point is the new provider does not do the administration stuff.
Okay.
And that is work that must be done at each individual center. Every site has to do this reporting. Every site has to do the meal monitoring. Every site has to have someone who is making sure that those persons sitting down at the table are eligible to be there. Okay? And of course, there's confidentiality rules too, so it's not like you can point at somebody and be like, hey, did you pay your $5? No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So that administration piece is not a part of that contractor's work. The CPAAA has found some funding so that they can offer a stipend to an individual in each location to be that administrator.
Fair enough. Sounds like a solution to a potential problem.
Correct. Well, here's the problem. They're offering a $5,000 annual stipend. So you're asking someone to work roughly, and this is very rough, but you're going to ask someone to basically work about 20 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, for $5,000. This is one of those places where we can say the math ain't mathin'.
Right.
Right? And I haven't done the quick math, but I mean, less than $100 a week for 20 hours of labor. Math ain't mathin'. So, our Department on Aging, along with the senior centers, are trying to figure out where they can go find some more money. And if they can't find that more money, it's very possible there won't be anybody to administrate these programs, and the whole thing is gonna just...
Yeah, because that's a requirement, obviously, and should be. It
Yes.
should be. Whether, the compensation is there, I agree with you. Yeah, that's probably not going to work to find somebody that wants to do that unless they're looking at it as a volunteer opportunity where they do get compensated some, because we know that people who do volunteer are not always 100% volunteering. But when you're taking and making that kind of a commitment, well, if that's a part-time job and you're taking an age demographic of people that are in need, but then somebody's going to stand up within that to be the person to volunteer, even then that's a gamble. I mean, as far as everybody knows my education's MPA, right? And I side commonly on the idea that in these types of situations, that is what government entities should take as a personal responsibility to them, to ensure that they are doing what needs to be done to fund this type of program for the benefit of the population that it's representing. Is there nothing that's being discussed at this point in time?
The county commission has been asked to consider putting per site $5,000 up,
which would then make it a $10,000
which would
deal.
double the stipend, then make it $10,000.
Which makes it a little bit more.
So we're just under $200 a week for 20 hours of labor. We'd be above minimum wage. Yeah. I mean, that's where
Yeah.
But for what we're asking.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is, I'm gonna use some language that I hate. Right? This ain't no starter job.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say there's a lot of responsibility, accountability.
There's some responsibilities here that are well above what you would expect out of somebody frying burgers at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, if that's what we're asking people we need to be willing to pay them. But so they've asked the county for $5,000 per center. They'd really like to get things restarted in Halstead. Halstead had a program, and then they tried to go it alone, and they couldn't do it by themselves. They really needed to be affiliated with that funding stream coming out of the CPAAA. So that program died. And so that's why when we're sitting here talking about it, these are the centers, and Halstead is not one of them. And I think Burton's involved too, by the way. So they're wanting someone to come up and say, hey, here's, and the reason that the Department on Aging can't just do it, I mean, that's a legit question, I think, but it's because their budgets are done.
Yeah.
And the next opportunity they have to go into their budget, and this is an expense right now that they cannot afford to absorb. And so for them, in order to go back into the budget and do two things. Number one, budget for this and absorb that expense. And number two, increase their current 0.61 mill levy to a full mill, which is allowable by law.
But that takes the county commissioners to approve that.
That part, in raising that mill levy from 0.61 to 1, I don't think does. It's already been done. It's already written in.
Okay.
So, but to do that has to come in the next budget, the 2027 budget, the one that will be worked on over the course of the next several months and approved in June, and that would become effective January 1st, 1 year from now. So that's why they can't do it right now. The county, if they wanted to rearrange funds, could do it. Maybe. I mean, they'd have to find the money, right? And that's what has to be done. The part of this that I kind of have been kind of like is that commissioners have been made it pretty clear they really want all of the senior centers to go to the cities and ask for the money. Not sure Burton would have the money.
No, I don't think that's the case, and I think even Halstead
and Heston
not involved in it. Right
Heston has some policy that prevents them from investing in individual programs of that nature, so they would have to change their own city codes to make it happen. Newton has struggled mightily with funding in the senior centers. So I'm not sure the money would be there either. And, when you kind of sit there and you look at this, it's like, okay. And the question is, who's responsible? Right? I mean, at the end of the day, there's a question. So is the county responsible for maintaining the senior centers, which are all based in cities, and or, by the way, they're some of the individual programs? Are they responsible? And the case can be made that under the state statute, state constitution, that yes, counties are. I'm just being blunt. The case can be made. It's going to come down to some interpretations, but there's some verbiage within our state constitution that makes counties responsible for senior and social services within their county.
Well, and then there's also situations like what we've talked about, not too far away, but emergency services, like if for whatever the reason a certain community, let's say Burton or Halstead, or we're just Walton, or we're throwing these out here, right? If they don't have or choose not to utilize funding in order to provide for a law enforcement agency, then that falls right back onto the county and the sheriff's department to be the one to ensure that there's law enforcement presence.
Correct.
In that community.
Correct. I mean, there's all kinds of conversations that can flow out of this.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And that's where some of that difficulty lies. And, we've had commissioners asking, well, can you just go back to potlucks? Well, number one, that only happens about once a month, and was only happening about once a month prior to any of these programs being funded by the feds. Number two, what you're asking is, so those persons who can't cook for themselves and that's why they're coming, can we just ask them to cook a little extra and bring it so that everybody can share? I mean, seriously. We've got another commissioner who is wanting to see if there are some churches that will step forward with some funding for this. Hey, more power to you. But I have a feeling that conversation is going to go pretty much like the conversation that I just had with myself about each city. And so at the end of the day, we're going to have to make a decision. Is this important? And if it's important, then we support it. If it's not important, then we have to be prepared to have very hard conversation, not only with each senior center and the Department on Aging and everybody involved, not only with those people and not only with the people who are coming to get meals, but with ourselves.
It's a no-brainer for me, Chad.
So,
I gotta say, it's a no-brainer for me. I would act. They have some savings. The county has some savings, and recently there has been commissioners who are in favor of taking a large portion of savings and applying that to certain services that are going to be provided in the intent to not raise a mill levy or taxes to generate that funding, but at the same time, my opinion, it just kicks the can down the road. Because you can take this much money out of savings in order to not raise the mill levy to fund this, but what are you going to do a year from now? And what are you going to do a year after that and a year after that? So I think, like, in my opinion, what should happen is yes, they pony up, okay? They got the money. They do have the money. They can pull it out of savings and utilize it for that purpose. And then from there, work in conjunction with these other entities for the following year to say, how are we going to do this? What should we do? My opinion.
I almost never do this, but I'm going to tell you what I would do if I were sitting on the commission right now. And what I would do if I were sitting on the commission right now is I would be going to my administration and saying, can you find me in our current budget, can you find me $20,000 for this? Can you do it? Because I want to do this as a startup. Okay? Because of the calendar, because of the way this whole thing went down, everybody got blindsided. This all came quick.
Yeah.
Right? The severance of contracts is a 30-day thing. So I'm just in that spot where I'm like, this is what I would do. When we're gonna give this $5,000 to each center. We're gonna give it this year, not next year. But we're going to give it to you now so you can get your ducks in a row and you can get things moving and you can continue this service. But next year, you've got to find somewhere else to come up with this money. That's what I would do.
Yeah. But leadership, okay, you're talking about leadership, right? I'm talking about leadership. We need to make a decision. Is this program valuable enough to save? I believe it is. I'm going to say you believe that it is. I think that once again, I go back to my statement before, we can be judged as a community, a county, a state, a nation by how we treat and the most vulnerable populace, which to me is a certain demographic that really needs a lot when it comes to social, emotional, even physical needs being met, and these are the hubs for that to take place.
Well, and for me, here's where my thinking is when I sit here and say this is what I would do and why. Here's behind the scene. This is what's going on in the back of the head. The county does not have a fire department. Never will. We pay the cities for that. And so we can sit and talk about, well, whose responsibility is it to take care of these senior centers? They're all in the cities and they all benefit people from the city. True. But your tax base is well over 50% in city.
Yeah.
Okay?
More than that. By the time you add all the communities up together, I mean, just Newton alone is 2/3.
That's right. And that's why I have a real problem with these conversations that come up with, well, that's in the city. So what? I mean, seriously, so what?
Well, and I gotta,
and you know, you've got watch the meeting. You've got these, you know, when the city of Newton went, they went multiple times within the last year to the county and said, hey, we got this road that we would like to do some improvements on. Hillside's a great example. It sits half in the city and half in the county. what help can you give us? And the attitude was kind of like, nah, we don't need to help with that.
Even though they get tax revenue dollars off of economic development, even if it's in the city limits.
Including in the city limits. Because straight up, when you live in the city, contrary to popular belief, I live in Newton. Have for a long time. My property tax bill, I pay a county property tax. I pay a city property tax. So don't look at me and say I'm not your responsibility. I've been paying you.
Well, and I wonder when you get down to it, how much revenue, because you take like agricultural land, and that is a very, very low capture of
the
tax revenue, even if you have a lot of property.
Right, the tax rate slash property rate, whatever you want to call it. Yes, it's low. It's probably artificially low. And by the way, for true agricultural land, it's set by the state.
Yeah.
But yes, there is the flip side.
So how much of the budget of the county budget
my
is...
good friend that I go to church with that has 2,000 acres, his tax bill is huge because he's got 2,000 acres. So, but his tax bill is huge, and we need to listen to him. Okay? And he pays a heck of a lot more in property taxes than I do, but he owns more. And please don't tar and feather me. But that land that he owns that is agricultural, he can make a money on every year. Which, by the way, is also taxed. So, you know, they're going to get you coming or going, dude.
And see, my argument was just that if you take industry that's within the city of Newton, if you broke it down, how much revenue or taxes does the county generate to redistribute and to operate that come from the city of Newton? Even then, add on Heston, add on Halstead.
I just have to do the numbers.
I'm sure it's a very large
I'd have to do the numbers.
Okay, so
but yes.
Moving on, Chad. What else in the Kansan?
What else in the Kansan?
Because I wasn't there. I want to comment. I want to say one more thing on that. I didn't watch the meeting, but I constantly feel like there's this lack of leadership that's coming out of the county over and over and over again, right? Like, well, maybe we should see if churches, and I don't know who said it, but I'm quoting you, maybe we should see if churches can help with that. Or maybe we could have potluck. It's like, do you think things through before you say it? Because
let me be blunt.
I mean, just gonna
let me be very blunt on this issue. Mm-hmm. Asking if churches can step in and help is a legit question.
Yeah, except for the fact that you're asking the question rather than
asking if the cities can step in and help is a legitimate question.
No doubt.
I'm not so sure some of the other questions that have been asked are legit, and I'm not going to single any out because we've thrown a few that have been out there, but those two questions, can the churches help, should the cities help, can the cities help, what's available there, they're legit.
But if churches were going to do it, they'd already be doing it.
Not necessarily.
Yes, I disagree. I don't see.
Have they been asked?
Is it okay? Now, and I'm going to go here. Should they have to be asked?
Are we talking common sense wise, or are we talking theology here?
I mean,
theologically, no, they should never have been asked. There you go, churches. Theologically, the county shouldn't have to ask. Theologically, the moment you find out there's an issue surrounding food, /poverty, /our aged, /widows, /the poor, you should be stepping forward. You shouldn't have to be asked.
And on top of it, they don't pay any taxes into the
I mean, all you got to do is read your New Testament. All you got to do is read the New Testament. Shouldn't have to be asked.
We got to move on, Chad. We're getting negative. What do you got? What else?
Something kind of interesting popped up at the city commission not last night, noon yesterday. And it's that New Jerusalem Mission in the old Axtell Hospital on Broadway is working to get a new roof put on their property. And they went to the city because they wanted the city to waive their building permit fees. $875, I believe, in building permit fees. And if you don't know, New Jerusalem Mission is not affiliated with any one particular church, but it is a faith organization. And it is 100% funded by private donation. The last couple years, they've been trying to dip their toes in the pool of grant funds, and they've been looking for grants and whatever else. But at this time, they are 100% private donation.
Well, grants are hard to get if you're a faith-based organization.
You better believe it. And so they've got this $875 bill for putting a new roof on from the city, and they asked the city commission to waive those fees. The city commission never voted, but declined. By not voting, they declined to waive those fees or pay those fees. But there's a couple of nuggets that came out of that, which I think are great. First and foremost is that Richard Stinnett and Leroy Kane kind of took up the mantle of, so this fee, is it based on actual true cost of the project, or is it a fair market value? And the why. And they got partial answers to those two questions last night. But the reason they were asking that question, here's a news nugget. The reason they were asking that that question is because when this fee waiver was being discussed, the commissioners made the point that when they've done these in the past, it's been for new construction, right? So, like, what's it called? Harvest Point, the senior housing project. That's new construction. 20 of the last 21 Habitat for Humanity houses were built in Newton, and they received fee waivers, but that's new construction. And that's new, and that's an expansion, and it's an expansion of our tax revenues, and yada, 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 yada. So this was a horse of a different color, because this is not new construction, which is why they were kind of like, if we do this for you.
We're opening the door up to do it for sitting presidents, to do it for everybody, or to feel obligated to do it, or for there to be pushback to ask, why did you do it for this, but you didn't do it for me? And then you enter in, it's a faith-based organization, and then it gets real messy real fast, because that's how people are.
I don't want to throw people under the bus, but quite honestly, what you're doing, if they would have said yes to that last night, in any form, even just discounting that thing, any form. So the moment the Robb brothers decide that they want to do some renovation to that nice building they've got there right downtown that has a couple of business rental properties in it and the Masonic Temple.
Well, that's actually all owned by the Masonic.
Okay, yeah. That's now owned by them?
All that entire building.
Well, the moment the Masons want to do something, they could walk in there and be like, can you waive all these fees?
And you wouldn't believe the yearly tax.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that fee waiver would be a big one. So I get it.
Yeah.
But the reason they were asking about whether it's true cost of the project or fair market value of the project is that it came out at the meeting last night that all of the materials for that roof are being donated by GAF.
Okay. Once again, they're just
there they are again. There they are again.
Doing good.
Which goes to a story that appeared in the Kansan last week. They were just named the 2025 Outstanding Partner of the Year by Wichita Habitat for Humanity. They did like 17 houses down there during a housing blitz. They showed up with their staff, they showed up with their materials, and they went, boom, we're going to roof this thing. And they didn't ask for a dime afterwards. Folks, this is their core business mission. Roofing. Okay? They did the Habitat for Humanity house in Heston. Okay? The cool part of that is that's the very first Habitat for Humanity house ever built in Heston, Kansas.
I tell you, it's amazing. GAF came to our community, and the lives that are being changed.
They are going to put a new roof. They're full circle conversation. They're putting a new roof, soup to nuts, on the Newton Area Senior Center.
Just over and over
Where's
and
it
over
stop?
and over again. Okay, and I got to say this, and we'll move on to the next topic that you might have, because I want to bring something up that I know is getting ready to come around the corner that I'm always interested in, that I love that the Kansan does, but it's I just got to say this, Chad, for all of it to almost be derailed for a half-baked, half-lit news article.
I'm just going to make a statement. For the entirety of this period, I have pretty much refused to comment on them, and I also am going to state unequivocally, I let them stand on their own 2 feet.
Are you calling me down? Are you calling me down, Chad?
I don't know. I would really like people to evaluate me for who I am, what I do, how I do it. And I would really like people to not evaluate me for my attitudes and opinions about another publication. So that's why I don't throw those things around. And I don't take it. I don't take it lightly. And even in interpersonal communication, just me and you out on the patio out here, that is a filter.
Yeah.
Constant. Friday lunch, that is a filter. Okay? I don't want somebody taking an impression away from me based on my thoughts of them.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on. I know that every year you do the top 10 newsmakers of the year. So you got to be working on this.
Top 10.
Top 10. Okay, give me a rundown.
I got a list.
Give me a rundown of what you can you yet, or do you want to do that?
Well, here's what I do. Generally speaking, here's what I do. I'll sit down, and this has already been done for this year. I'll sit down and just from my memory, what are the things that were big? And yes, that's what is big to me. Then I'll go check, and I've done some of this already. I'll go check some of our analytics. What did people gravitate to? What did they read? What is it they enjoyed seeing? What did they share on Facebook? What did they not? Right? And a lot of times, most of what I have in my sort of, these are the big news stories of the year, a lot of times those were not the most popular things on Facebook. And sometimes they're not the most popular things on our website. That's just the way it works. Right? So like and a great example of some of the things that where my head just kind of spins. Our analytics report for the last month and a half has been showing that our most popular story for this year was the Newsmaker of the Year story from last year. And we named the Economic Development Council as our Newsmakers of the Year. And it's the most read story. It was the most I still don't get that. It was the most read story on our website according to our analytics provider. It was the most read news story on our website last month. And I said it to our VP, this list I'm looking at that says it's the most read of this month, this is all stuff that's 10 months old or more. I don't understand. So I don't know if there's a problem with our analytics provider, or I don't
goes away, and there's been a lot of economic development. So every time something economic development comes up,
I kind of wonder if
that's an overarching article.
Anyway,
it is. We still get viewership on stuff that was a year and a half ago.
Right.
So I mean, it just and something might happen. a year from now and the algorithms look at it and say, oh, well, this happened a year down the road, but this is relevant. And if people are paying attention, especially on social media, what they're able to see is that you might be watching something that's years old. Like, there's still stuff circulating around about Kevin Samuelson, I think is his name.
Oh, yeah. No,
he's done gone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for years, the most read story on our website was man arrested for having sex with car.
Yeah.
And it was for years.
At the First and Main gas station.
And when I say it was for years, I don't mean that we had this big, huge spike on the story, which we did.
Yeah.
When it popped, but it just constantly was there in the most read of the week, in the most read of the month.
Just keeps
constantly.
The gift that just keeps giving.
Until we underwent an ownership change and our website changed and how our archives changed, and basically most of our archives are not available in a true electronic form prior to 2022 or 21. So yes, that thing was, anyway, neither here nor there. But according to some of those things, one of the big stories from this year actually popped just within the last week, and it was I can't remember his last name. Angel, I'm sorry, I can't remember your last name. It's just gone. But a freshman at Newton High School rearranged an orchestral piece that was written in the 1500s, and they did the world premiere of that during the Christmas concert.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, wow.
I'm going back to a statement that Rod Cry made real quick. He said, I would take the top 10% high achievers out of Newton High School, or Newton in general, and put them up against 10% of anybody's community.
Anybody.
And we have got some amazing things going on.
Blue Valley, bring it on.
Anybody.
Anybody. I mean,
anybody.
Seriously.
Let's do it.
Anybody.
Let's do it.
Anybody.
Okay.
So there's that, right?
That's one of the top 10?
Well, I don't know if it's going to make my final top 10 or not.
Oh, man.
But it's under consideration because it was extremely popular on Facebook. Also extremely popular on Facebook this fall is the old Dillon's building
coming down.
Right?
Can't even tell it was there anymore.
It's a classic example of
nostalgia, really.
You don't think about it until it's leaving or gone.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the lines outside a breadbasket this last weekend, oh my gosh, they were down the block.
Could that be one of the top 10?
Maybe.
I mean, we honestly, want businesses to open, but
honestly, I never really covered it because I was kind of like, it's going to happen December 31st. Maybe I'll do something then. It's just not one of those, and the last several weeks, my contact with local business has shifted into recruitment for community insiders and perks, which I got a new one that's popping this week. I'm really excited about that. Halstead Bess, another big one.
Yeah.
A lot of ink spilled and a lot of traction, a lot of people reading. Now I can't even. Oh yeah. Waymakers Academy. That's another one. I need to go back and write another story about Waymakers because they just got some more funding approved, which is super cool. And if they make the top 10, that might be the time to let people know that there's more funding approved and it's going to continue for a little while yet.
Yeah.
What else was on my list here? Oh, Pine Street. We a multi-year project to renovate the building for the county is finally done.
And operational.
It's operational. Yeah. Because you're never done when it comes to a building.
But awesome.
Yes. Because it just sneaked in there under the wire in January, the ribbon cutting for Full Vision. They just did tax abatements this week for Full Vision. So there again, there's another opportunity to insert some fresh news, so to speak, into our top 10 list. Fox Ridge. not only did the housing development finally start seeing people move in, we had that little problem with methane gas. And that was an ongoing problem for a while.
Well, they had to figure it out.
Yes.
It's a complex problem.
The other things on my list, they're all economic development in one form or another. You know, Youthville starting their own little housing development for, you know, they have some target populations that they want to see move in there, and they want to have some mentoring programs and some other things going on in there. So that's a kind of a big deal. It's gonna completely change the way that intersection of Broadway and Boyd looks.
No, I gotta ask, Chad. Okay, after watching the most recent wrestling match just absolutely get dominated,
he's on my list.
Very own Captain America.
Yes, he's on my list.
Okay, Wyatt Hendrickson.
He's on two different lists for me right now. One is top 10 stories of the year, and I'm pretty sure he's going to make the top 10 sports stories of the year. I haven't talked to Mark yet, but I'm 90% sure, because it was huge.
Yeah, and just keeps getting better.
Yeah, just won the what do they call it? RAF.
Yeah.
Championship, and you know that's cool because you know there's been
dominated it.
Yeah, there's been over the years attempts to start real professional wrestling, not the violent soap opera, but the real stuff.
Come on, don't be WWE, baby. That is real. Everything about it's real. And anybody that doesn't believe that it's not real, they just don't know that it's real, Chad.
It's sports entertainment.
I still think that there's a place in WWE for Captain America. I don't know. I don't know. You know, I mean, I don't watch it, but I might watch it. You know, if Wyatt Hendrickson was flying off the top rope with an American flag draped over his back, doing a whatever they call that, a belly suplex.
Wyatt, I have something to say to you, my friend. Okay?
Don't ruin dreams. Right? No, don't ruin dreams.
No. Just Wyatt, I have something to say to you, my friend. And I'm being very serious. What is about to come out of my mouth has been said to many national champions. Okay? Please don't forget. No one forget. This boy grew up on the floor of Carver Hawkeye Arena watching the University of Iowa win 9 consecutive national titles. And I spent my time downtown in the arcades playing with the likes of Royce Alger. His nickname was the Fall Guy. Let me tell you something. That's a great nickname if you're thinking of going to WWE.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Yeah.
So this got said to him. It got said to both Tom and Terry Brands. It got said to Ed and Lou Bannock. You join that, you're dead to me.
Don't listen to him, Wyatt. Don't listen to him, Wyatt. We love you and we want to see you on WWE. I will watch WWE for the first time probably in WWE's existence, because it used to be WWF, and then before that there was some WCW, and I don't know exactly
I love why they had to change the name. That was so great. But
I'm telling you, WWE, I don't know who runs the show there, but if you can get Wyatt Hendrickson, Captain America, signed, and he can make a performance regularly on that program, you got at least one.
Well, and then they could do a rematch. They could do a. You know what? They could do a rematch of last year. Was it Yeah, they could do a rematch of the NCAA final that he won too.
Yeah, well, you know, okay,
because they already got him.
Okay, Chad.
So anyway, we're
getting long. All
right. But so yes, he's also on my Newsmaker of the Year list.
Okay.
Also on my Newsmaker of the Year list, and honestly, it's GAF.
Yeah. Once again.
And why? Well, they broke ground on a freaking massive facility, and they're going to employ a lot of people.
Yep.
And then they're turning around, and you know, just what I was talking about. It's like, oh, these people needed a new roof. Mirror needed a new roof, and they're just like, yeah, sure, no problem. Let's get this done. So how I don't consider them for Newsmaker of the Year, I think I kind of have to.
I'll tell you, Newton Pride.
So there you go.
It's just like when you go to another community and somebody has like a Choose Newton shirt on, or Made in Newton, Kansas, or whatever, right? And you're out and about and you see them and you're like, man, they're from my community. So there's some personalization.
And straight up, in any other year, there's another company that would be right up at the top of the list, but they're getting overshadowed by GAF.
Yeah.
And it feels horrible. But it's just the way it is, and that's Hillsborough Industries.
Well, and I think Hillsborough Industries even understands.
So
they're making their
top
splash. 10. They know they're making their splash. They're doing a hell of a job. They're creating jobs. They're doing amazing things. But even they know, rock stars know rock stars, right? They're like, GAF, you're a rock star. We're glad that you're coming to the community. It's good for us. It's good for our business too. And speaking about community pride, I was in Buffalo Wild Wings. Love Buffalo Wild Wings in Wichita, Kansas, America. I think they have 2 separate locations, one on the east and one on the west side. And I like to go, one side one time, one side the other. And I was in the West Buffalo Wild Wings this week. And I look over to a table of a family, and there's a gentleman sitting there, and it looks like he has a GAF hat on. And I'm like, is that a GAF hat? And then he turns to the side, and there's a Newton sign. It's like, that is something amazing, and I don't think people realize how important that is, and what kind of, I didn't run up and give the guy a hug. I interrupt his meal.
The bottom line is that
but I'm like,
that
go
company,
Newton, go GAF, go Harvey County.
That company was built on a lot of community pride and being a good community partner. That's when you seriously just take a look, because this is how they act everywhere, and that's what they've built themselves on, and it is really great. And I'm not saying this to downplay anybody, please, but it is great that we have someone that the moment they open is going to be extremely prominent within our business community, that from the beginning has taken such pride in our community.
Yeah, and gave them back so much before they've even.
Oh yeah.
Pushed the shingle.
And you know what? I get it.
Floor.
I mean, when you're working 12 and 14-hour days to keep your little small business going, I get it, man. I get it. And there may not be at the end of the day, there may not be money in the budget to sponsor a rec baseball team. I get it. Dude, that is not a statement about your community pride, because I know you still have pride in our community. You do. If you didn't, you wouldn't be working here. If you didn't, you wouldn't run your business here. So you've got it. It's there.
Yeah.
These guys have just figured out a way to make it that's ridiculously public.
Which is
if you want help making that public, speaking to all our small business owners, you want help making that public, call me. I'd be happy to help you.
Community Insider Program.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about the Community Insider Program anytime. But above and beyond that, we'll talk about what you're doing in this town.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Right. 100%. Let me make the decision that I'm paid to make, and that is whether or not this is an important enough thing for the whole town to know about.
Yeah.
Because quite honestly, I just did a story that I was like, huh. And it was about the Harrison family of wrestling fame, of foam fame, right? Gene Harrison started a foam company. He started multiple companies in this town, and when he was doing that, he started a tradition at Christmas, and the family has carried that tradition on, and they did that just this last weekend. Gene's been gone a while now, but the family's still doing that tradition. And it's, man, guess I shouldn't eat that breakfast this morning. But it's they take popcorn and gifts to a couple of facilities that they still own, and that's just a holiday tradition. Let me know about those things.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, let me know about them.
Yeah. Communication is a two-way street.
Yeah, yeah.
At the very beginning, I mentioned that we were going to get into the Christmas spirit. We're getting long in the tooth here as far as wrapping up the program, but coming full circle. Chad, it's Christmas Eve. Not quite the evening yet, but we're on our way there. And Christmas is tomorrow. Christmas 2025. What do you got to leave with everybody, Chad?
What do I got to leave with everybody?
What do you, I think we could even call this our final word.
In my family, it's called Christmas. He is at the forefront. And I don't care about all the debates about when Jesus was actually born. I get it. But we're still going to celebrate his birth. I am celebrating his birth. And my family is celebrating his birth. And this will be my very first Christmas in 55 years on this planet that I will be celebrating without my father. And I know it's going to be more difficult than those first Christmases that I had to celebrate without my grandmothers. And I've done that twice. I am going to gather the family that I have. Some of that will happen tonight. Some will happen tomorrow. And we're going to go through some of our holiday traditions, both old and new. The new one that we're going to go through that I absolutely love, might even be my favorite, all due respects to my family, is that we have brunch with my neighbor Karen, her son Darian, and her husband Roy. Every year at Christmas, that's what we do. I make something, my wife makes something, we walk across the front yard, and we go hang out for a little while. And I love that. I just love that. So that's what Christmas is going to be for me and my family. To you and yours, concentrate on the ones you're with. Just keep concentrating on the ones you're with. And if you're not with anybody, pick up the phone and call somebody and get some time where you can concentrate on somebody.
Yeah. Appreciate Chad. Just saying, also, two-part deal here when it comes to Christmas. Andy was on the program. Wish we could have him here on the program today, but he's got other things he's tending to. Hopefully family and Christmas and spending time with one another. Think about people right now that you're around and realize that this is a difficult time of year for many people for many, many reasons. Treat everybody as though that's potentially the possibility that they could be in that situation. And for people that do have loved ones and friends and family to spend time with, enjoy it. Take time to enjoy it. Turn off the background noise. Turn off everything that's doing everything it can to divide us as families, neighbors, communities, and peoples, and just focus on the reason for the season. And that is, I'm going to echo what Chad said. Christ is born. Christ came. Christ is born. Our Savior is born. Have a good one, everybody.